Today's guest is on the cutting edge of talent coming out of the Middle East and North Africa. Gustavo Firmino is joining me for the second time on Fight Capital, and this time we're talking about his work with the PFL as the talent development, leading that across PFL in the Middle East and North Africa. We also talk about the global growth of the PFL and some of the exciting things coming down the pipeline for him and his team. You won't want to miss this one. It's a very exciting look into the future of the PFL in the Middle East and North Africa. If you're enjoying this content, give me a follow, subscribe, like, drop a comment. I'm always looking for people's feedback. And now, Gustavo Firmino, let's get it. To Fight Capital, where we enter the ring of combat sports business. I'm your host, Ryan Rappaport. Today, I'm excited to once again have Gustavo Firmino. He is the Vice President of Fighter Operations at PFL MENA, bringing over 20 years of experience in project management and combat sports. With a deep passion for MMA, he has played a pivotal role in elevating PFL MENA's presence in the Middle East by assembling top regional talent and organizing landmark events. Gustavo's strategic vision and commitment to athlete development has positioned PFL in the Middle East and North Africa as a key player in the global MMA landscape. It's a pleasure to have you back, Gustavo. How are you and where are you joining from?
A pleasure to talk to you again. I was looking forward to this conversation. We had our first conversation almost 10 months ago, so it's great to catch up with you again, my friend. And I'm doing great. I'm joining from Bali, Indonesia, and I will be soon traveling to Saudi Arabia for our next PFL MENA event in Riyadh on September 20th. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I mean, so many big changes since we last spoke. I'm just curious, what was the precipice for having you join up with the PFL and what got you excited about that role?
Right. So, as you know, I had a great experience in the Middle East working for Brave CF out of Bahrain as an athlete relations manager and matchmaker. It's a part of the world that I know really well. I know the fighters, the gyms. I made very good friends and developed a very good network and relationships in the MMA scene over there. And PFL had been very public about the plan to create regional leagues, including MENA, Middle East and North Africa. So, I had in my mind when I saw the conversations about PFL MENA, I'm the right person for that job. And, I'm very grateful that PFL gave me the opportunity. It's an honor to be involved with the MMA sport in the Middle East and implementing the PFL MENA League from start and working with an amazing team. So, I'm super excited, and it's been a remarkable achievement in my life to be working with such a great organization, and like I said, from scratch, starting a new league in a region that I care so much about.
Yeah, well, what an amazing experience. I mean, going back to when SRJ Investments, the vehicle for the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, announced the investment into PFL. I mean, it just seemed like a no-brainer with them being able to enter the combat sports world, and the way that the region of the Middle East has been elevating combat sports with everything that, as you mentioned, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, and the UAE has done for the sport of combat sports in general. It's been very cool to see. How does the PFL MENA plan to expand its talent pool in the Middle East? And are there any specific strategies that you've been implementing to discover and nurture new fighters in the region?
Right. So PFL MENA, we have a very interesting mix of talent in the way that we have developed our roster. The work obviously started even before I joined with Eduardo Lima, who is one of the directors of fighter operations from PFL US, and he's been incredible to work with, and he started actually putting this framework together even before I joined, and the team as well, obviously Ray Sefo and the whole international global team collaborating and working together. But for PFL MENA, we have signed the best fighters in the region, champions of other major organizations like UAE Warriors, like Brave, but we also have been focused on scouting the best prospects in the region. A good example of that is Mohamed Al-Akra from Kuwait, who when we signed he was 5-0. Now he's 6-0. He just he won his fight in the regular season, and he is an incredible talent. He obviously undefeated. He is a judo black belt, and he used to train under. He was to train out of AKA in the U.S. under Javier Mendez, obviously head coach of Habib, Islam Makhachev, and so many others. And Mohamed Al-Akra is actually doing his camp for the second time at Habib's gym in Dagestan. So you can imagine what you expect. He's a phenomenal talent. So our plan is really to continue managing the roster following this model, signing the best fighters with big names in the region, but also the best prospects that we feel are ready to take that next step in their careers in the big stage that is PFL MENA.
Talk about some of the key challenges that you've run into in organizing these events, and how has your team been overcoming that to ensure that you're getting the most successful events that are happening in the Middle East?
Yeah, so far we have hosted 2 events, the regular season events or quarterfinals, if you will. I would say, the most challenging was the first event. Obviously, it's a brand new team. We are learning how to work together, but obviously in collaboration with our international PFL team as well from Europe and the US. Now, I've got to say that PFL hired an incredible team of top professionals in MENA, led by our general manager, Jerome Mazet, who has been an incredible leader to put all the pieces together to make the event successful, with the support of Serge, who are instrumental in the success as well. So the feedback of the MMA fans and fighters in the region has been great. Both events were amazing. Fighters really delivered incredible performance. So so far it's been a great experience, and by each event I can feel that the quality of the fights and even our the way we operated the events, we are getting better event by event. As any company, like we are learning through doing it, but the team is so experienced already with events. Obviously, I worked for so many years with events and the whole team as well, and the US team and the European PFL European team. Obviously, they started the league last year, so we get all their experience and support as well to be successful. So there are some challenges, but we were able to overcome and deliver very good shows for the fans.
I mean, it's His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikhi and all of the infrastructure they've been building there has just been really great to see. As a fan, I want to see the sport flourish. I wanted to see it really take its place as the top global sport. I mean, obviously, unseating football and basketball and other the global sports it will be have its role cut out for it, but having the investment from the Saudi government into that, I mean, is going to make a huge deal. But in the end, I know that it comes back to what's happening on the grassroots, and that's what I really appreciate about what the PFL is doing. I was just in DC and got to interview Don Davis, and he really focused on the fact that we want to empower these local markets to build themselves up and have these grassroots programs. Can you just share a little bit about some of the educational initiatives that PFL MENA is developing and how these are going to contribute to the long-term growth of MMA in the Middle East?
Right. So developing new talent through grassroots programs is definitely one of the key areas for our organization, as you mentioned, and we work closely with the Saudi MMA Federation, for example, to identify new talent. A great example of that is Hatan Al Saif, very decorated Muay Thai champion from Saudi Arabia, multiple times Saudi Games champion and also world champion in Muay Thai. We signed her in a development program to start her MMA career under PFL MENA, and she has become a huge star already as the first female MMA fighter from Saudi Arabia. We also have Malik, who is IMF silver medalist and IMF Asian champion. So he's also fighting as an amateur under PFL MENA. So we had a few amateur fights in our cards, and he will be actually turning professional very soon, probably next year. So this is a work that we've already been doing since the beginning, and we will definitely keep working with the federations, not only the MMA, but also the other federations from the other combat sports, to identify these talents and bringing them hopefully into MMA to develop new talent in the region.
One of the things that I've seen is just the quality of the media that's coming out supporting the athletes, particularly, I mean, if you just think about the Saudi Arabia and how much progression has happened there in terms of supporting a female athlete like they have, and how much publications are covering that. It's been very cool to see. Can you just talk about some of the media strategies that the PFL MENA has been putting into place to get that reach inside and outside of the Middle Eastern audience?
Right. I mean, in terms of media, just to start with, PFL is broadcasted on NBC, which is a major free-to-air broadcaster in the Middle East. So, I mean, you can imagine the visibility for PFL MENA and the athletes. It's massive. So PFL MENA has had the coverage of all sports, mainstream media, and MMA specialized media that covers the event, but also attends to the events to talk to the fighters, to talk to the executives. So it's PFL PR team has done an incredible job to establish the relationships in the region to maximize the media for the event and for the athletes as well. And we also have done some interesting initiatives. So one of them, for example, we have the Fight Camp content episodes in our YouTube channel, where we send a team of videographers and media team to the fighters, to their country, to film their training, but also sitting down with them and with their family to get more about them, and so they can tell their stories, how they ended up doing MMA, and talking to their family and etc. So it's very interesting to see what inspire each athlete. And so you can go to YouTube channel and check it out, Fight Camp. One of my favorite episodes is with Islam Reda from Egypt. So only the scene of him shadow boxing with the pyramids on the background, that's some fantastic content. So yeah, I think we've done a great work, as you mentioned, to get coverage by the media, and that's something that we, the PR team is working hard to keep. That momentum is very good for the promotion, but especially for the athletes as well. They work very hard, and they deserve to have this visibility to show the work they do.
Hey everyone, quick favor to ask. Did you know that nearly 80% of the people tuning in right now aren't subscribed yet? That subscribe button down below is what powers me every week to keep putting out these podcasts. Big shout out and thank you to everyone that's been supporting me for this. I couldn't do it without you. If you're enjoying the content, please subscribe below. It means the world to me. And for everyone supporting me, thank you so much. Now back to the show. Yeah, well, since we last spoke, I mean, there was the Bellator PFL Champions event that happened in Saudi. That was their first pay-per-view event. Then we have coming up on October 19th, Battle of the Giants, where Francis Ngannou gets back in the cage with Renan Ferreira, and just all of these just bringing those views, those eyes, and the people coming to see the events in Riyadh. I mean, it's got to be a game changer. Can you just talk to me a little bit about what's next for you and for the events, and are there any goals for PFL MENA over the next 5 years, and how you look to solidify yourself as the premier MMA organization in the Middle East?
Yeah, I think looking ahead, we need to keep doing what we're doing and keep improving. So PFL MENA offers a major platform for the athletes. As I mentioned, broadcasted on NBC. The athletes are being watched by millions of fans, and it brings a different excitement as well with the PFL signature format. Obviously, the fighters, he must win to go to the next phase. The fighter, we already know who is the next opponent, so it's a very simple format for the fans to understand, no complicated matchmaking. And so the fighters tell their own stories through the league and through the opponents they're able to overcome and beat to reach to the final and become potentially a champion, right? And obviously, the champions have the opportunity to go even further and join the PFL Global season, with a prize of $1 million. So it's a format that create regional stars through the league, through the regional league, and then the champions have that chance to go into the global league as well. So I think looking ahead, as you asked about the next 5 years, it's really to keep scouting the talent and telling their stories. That's definitely a key aspect of it. It's an area that we will keep focusing on, and through watching the regional MMA events and amateur events and IMF, the Saudi games as well, and even other combat sports as well. So we potentially can identify other great prospects like Hatan, who would be interested into moving into MMA. So as I think as our vision statement says, it's about enhancing the sport throughout the region and creating a foundation for future regional and world champions. So that's what we aim to keep doing.
Well, I mean, lastly here, you're hands-on with the athletes. You're seeing the talent from base level to the top names in the sport. You mentioned Hatan. I know there's Al-Qatani as well. Are there any other athletes that the fans should be keeping their eyes out for coming out of the MENA region here?
Wow, there are so many, but let's focus on the next event. I mean, the fight card is stacked. So many champions and great athletes from the region. But I will give a couple of examples. Our co-main event, Jarrah Asselawi versus Omar El Dafraoui. Jarrah is famous to be the best Arab fighter, 2 times Brave CF champion, good everywhere, very well-rounded, and he's going to be fighting Omar El Dafraoui from Egypt. Was in before joining PFL, he was on a 4-fight losing streak. He moved to Bali actually, and he turned his training life around. Now he's on a 5-fight win streak, and he's been looking unstoppable. That should be an exciting fight. Both have a striking background. Obviously, I mentioned Mohamed Al-Akra from Kuwait, training out of Habib's gym. Javier Mendez will be there cornering him. And cool. Now is the moment of truth for him, because he's going to be facing Badreddin Diani, a former UAE Warriors champion, 5 times, if I'm not mistaken, African Sambo champion. So that's Al-Akra with a wrestling and judo background against a very experienced combat Sambo champion. So very decorated MMA champion as well. So that fight should be fireworks. And just maybe to give another one, we have those 2 fights on the welterweight division. On the lightweight division, we have a semifinal between Sohail Tairi versus Mohsen Saif. Sohail is from a French-Algerian, incredible athlete. He's good everywhere. He's a brown belt in luta livre, but has a very dynamic striking, very aggressive grappling as well. He fought against I forgot the name of the fighter now that got signed by UFC, and Mohamed Yahya. He fought against Mohamed Yahya for the title in UAE Warriors. He lost by a close split decision, in my opinion, even a little bit controversial. I think Sohail won, so he's a top lightweight in the Middle East. He's going to be fighting Mohsen, who is without a doubt the most decorated striker in the PFL MENA roster, maybe in the whole PFL roster worldwide. So he's 6 times world champion in Wushu Sanda. Just go through his probably it takes a page just to write all his achievements in Wushu Sanda. He's a different kind of striker, and so that fight should be fireworks as well. But the whole card, I can go on and on. Each fight is very special. I'm sure that all Arab fans are going to be tuning in and watching. But if you love MMA and good fights, doesn't matter if you even don't know the fighters yet, because they are from the Middle East, maybe you're from the US, you don't know the fighters. If you want to watch a good MMA, you should tune in, because it's this fight card is stacked, and the fights are going to be incredible, I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's just been so cool for me as a MMA nerd, watching the level of talent quickly rise up. I mean, you've had obviously Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Abu Dhabi for so long, and everything the UFC has done with Yas Island, but now as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has stepped into the scene and is just pouring money into the investment, into the infrastructure and the talent, we're just going to keep seeing that bar being raised higher and higher. For one, excited for that, and really appreciate the PFL's approach into helping leverage the infrastructure that they're building and the technology and the platform to grow these localized regional promotions for PFL that's going to just bring the best global talent and help all that cream rise to the top. It's really a pretty cool thing to see.
Yes, no, definitely. As you mentioned, Saudi Arabia with their support for combat sports, but I mean all sports. They're involved in football, in all sports, obviously boxing. We saw what they did, and now with MMA, UFC also went to Saudi Arabia. PFL is going not only with one event, we have a full league. So that's, I think, the difference. We don't just go one event and we leave. We are actually on the ground with a league, work with the federation to develop new talent. So you see our fight cards are actually, we have Arab fighters, the best from each country in the Middle East and also from Saudi Arabia. And it's a great time to be an MMA fan in the Middle East. There are many events happening throughout the region. And what I see is that PFL MENA has become the ultimate platform for the best fighters to fight against each other, to determine who is the best. Like I said, our roster, we have a mix of former or even current champions of other organizations in the region. And PFL MENA, with its league format, has become this ultimate platform for them to become the champions and then have the opportunity to go to the global league. So I'm very excited with what we are doing, what the athletes are bringing on board as well. The roster is incredible, and I'm really looking forward to the next event, the playoffs or the semifinals, because after each event, I can see that it becomes more dramatic. The fight means a lot. It's either, as we like to say, win or go home, or as we say in the PFL MENA, rise or fall. So the fighters, obviously, they want to reach that final and the big prize money. So it's it's going to be exciting, and I cannot wait for the next event.
Well, Gustavo, always a pleasure to talk with you, man. Appreciate you taking another late night call with me, and can't wait to see the PFL MENA back in action coming up soon, and looking forward to seeing the success of the league.
Pleasure talking to you, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.